This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando.
Hey guys, welcome to Dice Commando. Andrew here talking Star Wars Legion hopes and dreams for 2021. So as many of you guys know, this is a game that I got into during 2020. Been in it for, I guess, and that's after Christmas, so I guess I've had it in hand for about a year now. But I've just really been having a lot of fun with this, both as just kind of a personal hobby and learning it. I started painting this year, even though that was something I said I'd never do. Thank you, pandemic, for more alone time for hobbying. And I just love this game, and I'm sitting here basically. I couldn't sleep tonight. I'm sitting here doing some videos, waiting for some stuff to spool, and I thought it would be cool to just sit and kind of spitball my hopes and dreams for what I'd like to see from Legion in 2021. And remember, I'm largely a casual player here. I don't even have that many games on my belt. Thank you, pandemic. And so I'm just more looking for stuff that I want to see, right? Not even gameplay stuff. So remember, the big elephant in the room, the unknown, really the big unknown, is the transfer to AMG. I did do an episode on that and what I think it's going to mean. But kind of the TLDR in a nutshell there is, I don't think that FFG did a great job with the game. I mean, it's a great game. I like the game, and the products that are coming out are still FFG based, right? So I'm not slamming FFG here. But I think that they didn't take as full advantage of the license as probably they could have. Namely, there's a lot of characters that haven't been done yet. Now, the game's still young, but I do think that that's probably where AMG, Atomic Mass Games, will go, is releasing mainly named characters. Now, you guys also know, if you've watched the channel, I'm not a huge fan generally of conversations like what we're having here, because we as gamers, we love our stuff, like especially when it comes to Star Wars. Like, oh my god, we have our favorite characters. Like, I like Boba Fett. Like, the guy saw 4 minutes of screen time, right? And he's been my favorite character since I was 8, right? Like, so, and obviously he's in the game, but there's other people out there with similar characters. And generally, the reason I don't like having conversations like this is because someone will pull the most obscure character that popped up in 2 frames in a comic book, and I really want this character, and you need to remember, release schedules are a thing, and they can only pump out so much product, and it's highly likely you're going to get a Luke Skywalker and a Darth Vader before you're going to get some random dude in the cantina bar. That's just the reality of the situation, right? So kind of, that's why I don't necessarily like doing stuff like this. People always throw out these random things, and as a general rule from a release schedule, if I have to Wookiee, I'm not the biggest Star Wars nerd. Granted, I haven't seen Mandalorian yet. Just forgive me. It's been an issue with, Disney streaming, and we're going to cut the cord when we move and all that, right? But point is, I'm a pretty big Star Wars nerd, and if I have to Wikipedia who you're throwing out, it's probably not high on FFG's priority or AMG's priority list to get them printed. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and do what I don't like to do, and let's just spitball characters that I think, not even that I think, that I would like to see, that I think make most sense. But that's kind of where I'm going here. Is these aren't just characters that I'd like to see. They are actually, some of them are units too. It's not just stuff that I'd like to see. It's also stuff that I think actually makes sense to see in the game. For example, one of the characters that's been on this list, I've had this ready to go for a couple weeks and I just haven't gotten to it. One of the characters on the list was actually Lando. He was spoiled. So, I mean, makes sense there. No brainer there. So, just kind of a practical list. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've just kind of picked my top 3 for every faction, and we'll go from there. And actually, I only have 2 for the Imperials. So, with one exception, number 0, who I'm showing right now, is Ahsoka. I actually dedicated a whole episode to this earlier. It blew my mind. Ahsoka is a 0 because she should already be out. It blew my mind that they didn't do Ahsoka with Anakin. They should have just released together. I still don't understand it. I think that's a prime example of why FFG doesn't have the game anymore. I think that was one of the type of missteps. They could have just sold it and made more money. People would have bought it regardless of the gameplay. They just would have sold it. So I respect them protecting the game and doing everything they do right by the game. Like, they did a fantastic job, but like, we should have Ahsoka. So she's my number 0. I think that one goes without saying. I cannot wait to have Ahsoka and Anakin on the table. Except it'll be bad for me because right now my wife plays the droids because she likes the droids. But as soon as we get Anakin and Ahsoka, she's going to want my clones. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the Empire. I think that this is the faction I only actually have 2 for. But I think that Grand Moff Tarkin, I mean, he's a pretty iconic character across more. I mean, granted, he's another one of those guys that I guess didn't technically see a ton of screen time in the original trilogy because he kind of got blowed up. But he's a big character in the game. And as far as, strategic commander goes, I think Grand Moff Tarkin would be, I think Grand Moff Tarkin, or even just Tarkin, or whatever phase you want to put him in as, I think he would be an excellent choice as a pretty tactically endowed commander unit. Which is the lead-in, of course, to fan favorite Thrawn. I love these books. Everybody else, apparently, I mean, everybody did. Like, Thrawn is a fan favorite character, has been for a long time, depending on which series of books that have since been killed and then rewritten and all that, right? But Thrawn, I mean, I can't see us not getting Thrawn. Plus, I can't wait to paint this guy. Like, this guy would be really cool to paint because I've learned how to paint white, which was a huge win for me this year. I can't wait to use that Talisar blue on his face there. I have to figure out probably what to use for his head, or his hair, excuse me. But I think Thrawn is. I'm surprised actually we haven't seen him already. But maybe they're holding him out for something big with like a Spectre release or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that was their overall plan. But so that does wrap up my Empire. Those are the only 2 I have for the Empire. So now let's go into my home faction, right? My boys, the clones. Commander Cody. This is more of a would like to see than I think that we'll actually get. But I mean, they could very easily do Commander Cody as they did, not necessarily as a heavy weapon type. Well, they could do him as a heavy weapon type unit, and he could, becomes a leader, right? Something like 5's Echo. Like they could do that. That's a great way for them to introduce like the lower level. It's a great mechanic they use to introduce the lower level characters. I'd love to see Commander Cody, mainly because I'd like to have Cody and Rex. I think it'd be really cool. I already have, or I'm already working on, I should say, a 212 based Phase 2 squad, so it'd be really cool to just to see that. And he's a cool guy. I mean, Cody. We all know Cody, right? It was Cody and Rex in the Clone Wars. All right, next is Mace Windu. I thought for a hot minute there that we were going to actually see Mace Windu because they released before Lando and Callus came out. They released a Hold On to Your Butts thing, which had the actor here in Jurassic Park. So someone had mentioned, was like, oh man, it might be Mace Windu. And I was like, oh, that makes total sense. And like, I don't see it. Like, I don't see a world in which we don't have a Mace Windu one day. I mean, not only does it bring some, like, honestly, much needed color, like, pun intended there, to Legion, but he's a fan favorite. Like, everybody should want this guy. Like, I don't see us not getting him. So I'd love to have him as a commander leading my troops in battle. I think that'd be super awesome. Next one. I think this one's obvious too, is Yoda, Grandmaster Yoda. I don't see us not getting a Yoda at some point, right? And I know they've got other stuff to do, and they're really scheduled. You can only release so many things, and I get it, but like, I don't see a Yoda not happening. I think that would be a crazy. Like, people would want the miniature too. Like, it'd be a crazy sell at miniature. I think he's a no-brainer. All right, moving into the Rebels. And this one's a personal one for me because I love Rogue One. Even though I don't play the Rebels, I bought a Jyn, Cassian, and K2 and painted them all up. Base and Chirrut, man, these guys would be great. I think they'd be really cool as like a Guardians unit where maybe you have to equip, right, some sort of like retinue. You have to attach both of them or something like that to take the card. Functionally, I don't know how they would end up making it work. They clearly have to like be part of like a Guardians. I would think they'd be part of like a Guardians unit and then attach to it. So something to that end, but I think seeing Baze and Chirrut would be really cool. I don't know functionally how that would work, and it might cause a lot of problems there, which is probably why we don't have them already. but I would personally love to see them. I've seen the miniatures by Skullforge out there, and I've like almost bought them several times just because I want to paint them up. Very, very cool stuff. I'd love to see these guys. All right, so the Rebels one is this. This is kind of a cheat because Mando. I don't see us with the popularity of it. I don't see us not getting Mando. Now, I already said before I haven't seen the Mando series yet. Again, my Disney Plus thing, we have it. We're cutting the cord. I'll get there, so forgive me. But the Mando thing's kind of interesting, and the reason I say it's a cheat is because I fully expect there to be, like, when they introduced units from Mandalorian, like, I expect there to be more than just like they're not going to just do Mando. I wouldn't think. Like, I would think they'd do, like, I don't know, maybe that's like the first faction starter sets we see. Like, maybe you see like a specific, because they did that for Clone Wars or Armada for Clone Wars recently. Like, maybe that's what they do, is like there's some sort of like Mandalorian starter set or something like that. Because there's a lot of individual characters there, and you could also do it on the Imperial side. And that maybe, I mean, there's a lot of speculation there, but like I said, the Mando's kind of a cheat because, like, he's obvious. Like, we're obviously going to see stuff with Mandalorian, like, no doubt there. The question is, how do we see it, right? And maybe if they're doing it like that, maybe it's even farther down the road. Who knows? But I would be very surprised if we don't see Mandalorian stuff sometime in the next year, or at least hints of it or announcements of it coming or something like that. I mean, I just can't imagine a world without Mandalorian because there's just too much to capitalize on there with popularity, right? Next, and then I kind of already referred to this in Thrawn, but Spectre Team, and this is kind of another cheat. Like, I don't even know how they do this. This one would be rough. Like, maybe they do something kind of like Inferno Squad, where, like, you have to attach the various guys, but... And then who would your leader be? Would your leader be Kanan? Would it be Hera? Like, I don't know. Yes, there's a lot to go here, but I mean, to be clear, we already have Sabine, right? So that does throw, kind of messes that up a little bit. But we're seeing Callus. Callus was announced. We'll see him. I think it's March, maybe February or March. I think they've announced that we'll see Callus. I can't see not getting Zeb, but then again, we didn't get Ahsoka. So, I don't know. We'll see there. But I would hope that if Spectre Team comes, they somehow fight as a unit. And I think that, I mean, my wife and I love this. Like, this is part of what got her hooked on Star Wars. Like, Rebels was a fantastic show, and maybe have Thrawn come with it as well. And that's really, I mean, I think that's how they continue to expand. There's been discussion about sub-factions and stuff like that, and I think maybe this is one of the pathways to doing it. Unfortunately, here in this case, you've got a lot of what would presumably be commander units. I mean, maybe they come as a spec ops, but I doubt it, because again, Sabine's already out. Doesn't mean they couldn't release another Sabine, I suppose, to go with it. So, but again, I would really like to see a Rebel squad. I just don't know how exactly functionally you would do that in the game. Alright, wrapping it up with the Separatist Alliance. Another character I'm surprised we haven't seen already, because we already have Dooku, is Asajj Ventress. Asajj, man, basically just like we already have Dooku, she works with him. I mean, she also did her own thing too, but like, by and large, like, it would make a lot of sense to have have her be an operative with Dooku, or at least have that ability and have them play on the table together. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. So, not to mention the fact, like, look, she would be awesome to paint, right? You'd be super simple, right? You'd even grab your Apothecary white contrast paint. That should handle her skin pretty well. Like, that could call it, I mean, that would be pretty cool to paint, I would think, and pretty easy, and have a lot of fun with it, with the purples and the blacks and the white. I think it'd look pretty hot. Right, next is Django Fett. Another one of my favorite characters, and another one of those that I just want to paint this sucker. Like, he would be awesome. You just get some dark blue contrast paint, throw it on there, trim it up with some lead belcher, wash over it, color done. This would be a really hot looking model. I'm sure the sculpt for this would be super cool. Again, I'd love to see Django join the Separatists. He'd clearly have to be an operative. Maybe similar. I know a lot of people have actually done Django versions of Boba. Actually, some of our earlier games, I was actually letting Amy just use Boba on the table to kind of help even things up with her Separatists and my clones. We called him Django, actually. So I mean, maybe something similar to that. Now, the disclaimer there is with Cad Bane, like they already have a pretty good operative there. So, but again, it's just more characters. It doesn't even right. Again, this conversation not necessarily about improving gameplay or adding to gameplay, but it's adding characters which would help you bring people into this game. And again, I would go buy a Django Fett miniature regardless of who I played it or not, right? I think I'd love to paint this guy up. All right, last is a unit. So this is not a character. I know most of these have been characters, but Magna Guards. It would be I'm a little surprised you don't have Magna Guard, since they basically were Grievous's entourage, for lack of a better term, right? Like, I think you throw them on the table somehow with Grievous, and they somehow get a bonus for being with Grievous or something like that. I don't know if you go back and like retcon Grievous for entourage. You probably don't, but maybe you could like forward retcon him or something like that with, forward errata him or something by putting it on their card that they can somehow be with him or get a bonus from being with him. But I think having two Magna Guards or a squad, a Special Forces Magna Guard squad with him or whatever that helps take shots for him, I think would be really, really cool. So I'd plus, like, as another model, I'd love to paint these guys. So that is it in terms of the technical stuff. Or not the technical stuff. That's it for my list, right? I mean, except for one thing. I also would like to see, and this is just personal, there's like, I don't even know where she'd fit. I'd like to see Aura Singh. Because again, I would really love, like, the way, like, I just love to paint her, right? Again, you could use that Apothecary White on her skin. You get a really great, like, dark, dull orange color. And then you have her weapon. She'd be really fun to paint. I just love to paint this model. I have seen one on Skullforge. Again, it's been one that I've, like, looked at. It's never been in my card or anything, because there's, like, no practical purpose for it. But it'd be something that'd be a lot of fun to paint. So anyway, thanks guys for joining me. I mean, that's really it. I just had a lot of fun. I've just been thinking about this, jotted it down, just kind of wanted to sit on and chat about it, and thought maybe you'd want to join me. So yeah, thanks for just joining me as we spitballed. Let me know what a lot of you guys know way more about Legion than I do. Let me know what you're thinking. Maybe you have if you have inside knowledge, you're probably not going to share it. I get that because there's NDAs and stuff like that, but let me know what you're thinking, what's coming, what would you like to see. I mean, keep it within the realm of realism, but what would you like to see? What do you think would be cool? Maybe you have more gameplay experience that you think some of these are really bad ideas. Like Spectre Team's probably a bad idea. I get that, but yeah, let me know what you're thinking. So nothing else, guys. Thanks for joining me, and go Commando.